Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Well, the next few days are going to be huge in the shop, and that is because we're going to be final welding in the entire back half of this car, and I'm hoping that by the end of this episode, all of the heavy lifting, all of the sheet metal is basically welded on, welded together, leaded up at the top, and we're going to gap the doors. We're pretty much going to be finishing up all of the metal work on this car in one episode. Now, I have done so much work fitting panels and tweaking things. I mean, getting the doors to fit to damn near perfection where you can close them with just one finger. I mean, it takes so much time. I bet you I've spent the better part of probably 10 hours in the last 2 days actually just fitting everything back and forth, front to back on the entire car. Of course, we got the fenders fit up on the front end, but getting it all to fit, all of it to work right, because this is basically like 5 different cars worth of sheet metal, plus aftermarket stuff, plus some fiberglass stuff, into getting it all to fit together. It's a hell of a lot of work, and it does not just happen by accident. It does not just fall onto the car and we get lucky. It has taken a lot of work to get this car to where it is. But man, it'll be a huge check off the list to get all the metal work wrapped up on this thing, so we can finally start moving on to some more exciting things. Now, I have gone ahead, I had quite a bit on this thing. You guys can see here, I did go ahead and body work the trunk. Yes, I am one of those weirdos. I like to body work damn near everything, but did one quick pass with that. I got everything in zero rust. The passenger wheelhouse on this car was also already welded in when I got it. Thank God the gentleman that did the work on that fit it in pretty much the perfect spot. Didn't take a whole lot of tweaking to get it to fit with the quarter panel, so we're good on that point. That's why there's one wheelhouse that's black and the other one that's silver is not yet welded in, and thankfully got that adjusted. It's in the exact right spot. So we've got to start today by going ahead and welding that wheelhouse. We've also got the deck filler support piece there with the little dimple dies in it. That's still loose. That needs to be welded in, and then we can go ahead, do some very light touch-ups, some little tiny bit of body work, and then I can get that into the zero rust. But got the tail panel all prepped out, all of the copper colored areas on the car, that is your weld through primer. So every basically place on the car where the panels come off and go back on, I've gone ahead and prepped everything out. This passenger side is actually ready to weld on the way that it is. The tail panel's ready to go. It's really, starting here with this driver's side and getting this panel blown back off the car, the quarter panel, and welding in that wheelhouse before we put it all back on and make it all fit right. Now, I did not include a lot of the fitting, a lot of the tweaking. You guys have seen me do that on probably a half dozen cars on the channel. So if you're interested in all that stuff, go ahead and check out some of the other videos there. But we are going to jump straight in, get the panels off this car, and start welding. This is going to be a very weld-happy episode, but this car is going to look so much different over the next few days. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Alrighty guys, so I worked late into the night last night, got the driver's side wheelhouse, inner and outer, fully welded in, all of it's ground down, it's all been put into zero rust. I'll show you here in just a little bit. The glare from the sun is about to destroy me here in the garage, so I'll hold off on just a little bit to show you that. But I have spent the better part of the last 3 or 4 hours fitting all the body panels back onto the car. You know, I did have the advantage of kind of having everything already pinned in one time, but before you weld it, take your sweet ass time and make sure it all fits exactly where you want it to be, because more time spent here means less time doing rework and body work and everything else that you get by rushing, okay? So first and foremost, fitting the doors up. I had the doors fitting really good already. A big thing that I did not mention earlier, but I typically mention, like, in any time you're going to be gapping or fitting quarters, you always want to put in brand new door seals. Now, I am the guy that has not done that before, and let me show you what happens, okay? So imagine this door seal is not on. You shut the door, and it's actually going to close further than what it would if you had brand new seals in, which means you're going to mistakenly put your quarter panel on further as well. And my dumb ass made the mistake one time of doing that. The quarter panel is welded too far in. I put on fresh door seals, fit everything up, and the closest that I could get it to close was like that. And I ended up having to cut the entire lip of the quarter, shove a 3/16 inch rod in there, and kind of space everything back out. It was butt ugly. It turned out okay, but you don't want to do that, okay? So I know they're 60, 70 bucks to buy them new, and you're probably going to end up ruining these. I like to get 2 sets, because as you weld and, you know, put a bunch of heat in there and open and close them a whole bunch of times, they're going to be wrecked. And those little pain in the ass white clips, they're good for about 1 install. So buy 2 sets. I did jump ahead and go ahead and gap the bottom half of this. I'll show you guys how to do that here in just a little bit, but everything is fit to 3/16 of an inch. I beat this corner in as well, but I've got nice flush fitment all the way up and down here on the door. And what we'll do, we'll start up here on the upper quarter panel, we'll lock that in, go here to the door edge, and just very, very slowly, basically between every single weld, I'll open and close the door, make sure it fits, do a little bit of hammering, flatten it out, get it to where it fits perfect as you weld it in. The back half, pretty straightforward. Of course, you got your trunk drip rail, you got everything around the entire wheelhouse, so the car's gonna go back up on the lift to get that done. And then the last thing, to go ahead and do the perimeter weld around on the bottom of the trunk drop, as well as around the taillight panel. Now, one thing I will go ahead and show you, and I'm sorry now about the glare, I fit those quarter panel extensions on so good that the fitment is like crazy, crazy tight. It was never like that from the factory, guys, I promise you, okay? This side here on the driver's side, just as good, and the fitment is just fantastic. This fiberglass deck lid is gonna take some finagling and fitting. We'll do that after we weld in everything. We'll basically make this deck lid fit the quarter panels, because it is a little bit off. I think that they actually make that just a touch too big, so that way you can go back through and fit it to your application, and we will definitely do just that. I hope the hood, however, is much closer, because there's a flanged edge on that. On the trunk lid, it's actually just a flat piece. So probably end up using some Zeus fasteners in a future episode and get that thing put in right. But yeah, the hood hopefully should be a much better fit. All right, guys, well, enough talking. Let's go ahead and start here at the top, work our way around this quarter, and let's get this passenger side done. All right, guys, after a few late nights, I finally have this rear quarter panel completely welded in, and it turned out really good. My eyes are not so good. Allergies are killing me again. Sorry about that. So I guess I won't show my face, but like always, locked everything here at the top first, work my way down and around. Our quarter panel extension piece still fits fantastic there. Wheel wells are nice and tight here. Didn't have to do any crazy clamping or worry about anything like that. It fit up really nice. Door jambs turned out really good as well. But as you guys can see now, I get the joy of spending quite a few hours grinding every single one of these welds down. Oh, there we go. But you guys can see here, I did spend quite a bit of time dialing in all of my door gaps. And there were a few things that I did do off camera, okay? Now, again, you guys have seen me do this like on 5 or 6 different cars, exact same process. But I use that Big Kid Blocks gapping tool. Everything is dialed in to exactly 3/16 of an inch. But here on the very front, like I mentioned earlier, I had to actually split the rocker, hammer that over to line up with the edge of the door, because the door is in the right place. It's exactly where I wanted it to be. But after replacing that outer rocker there, I think that I did put it a little bit too far forward, but not a big deal. So went ahead, cut that, hammered it over, welded it back shut, and then just like I always do, I went ahead, ground it down, welded up that edge, and then made sure that everything was at 3/16 inch down there. Now, one thing that is a little bit weird about this front fender is that, this did come from a 70 Coronet, of course. The door was original to this car, but what's very strange is that the body lines on the front fender were like way off. And you guys can see here, the fitment overall on the fender is really good. And then all this contour is really nice, but actually the body line on the fender was just a touch too high. And no, it was not from grafting in that red piece there from the donor front fender. I actually left the body line there and welded and cut it underneath that body line. So what I ended up doing, taking a little piece of 3/16 inch rod, welded that up across here. Still got a little bit more grinding to do on that, but got that body line looking really good all the way down the side of the car. But again, looking at those door gaps, the factory never had anything close to that originally, so turned out really good. One other gap that I did have to tweak just a little bit, and some of you guys may have caught it here, but this deck filler piece was like super short here in the back, and I actually just sliced that just like I did on that rocker. You just cut it, actually just use a flathead screwdriver, pry it over, shut this gap up, and then I was able to use another piece of 3/16 filler rod, put that in there for basically the section that it will fill up, and then weld it shut, grind it flush, and voila, we have beautiful brand new body lines. So, and really from here, like I said, a bunch of grinding to do, guys. This actually gets filled in with seam sealer, and yeah, halfway there. It's a lot of work. It's especially a lot of work just to make sure everything fits right, and every couple welds I'm refitting this to make sure nothing moved around on me. But overall, very, very happy with how the first half turned out. So I'm gonna go ahead, throw wheel dollies on the car, get it outside, get it flipped around, and then hammer out this driver's side before moving on to leading these quarter panel seams. Alright, you guys, well, after many hours, a whole lot of sweat, no tears, a lot of cuss words, the metalwork on our 1970 Dodge Super Bee is, for the most part, completely done. Now, I've been feeling a little bit burned out for the last week or so, every single night being out here for several hours, working through every single panel on the entire car, getting it all to fit right, getting it all welded, sanding it down, doing a little bit of body work with it. I want it to look really nice, and here is where we're at. So you guys notice I went ahead, skipped the lead work on the other side. I followed the exact same protocol that I've showed you guys in like all the leading tutorials and all of that. But you know, it's basically the exact same process. You tin the material, you melt the lead into it, you file it down, body work it, and you end up with a really nice panel that's going to last you a lifetime. But man, getting that part done was like the biggest check off the list you can possibly imagine. Because really, once that's done, for me, that means that the work is about wrapped up. But real quick recap of everything that's been done so far. So of course, fit the hood, fit the fenders. You guys can see here, I am not going to leave the intake just out in the open like that. I am looking for recommendations though on what you guys think we should do for a hood scoop on this thing. It'll kind of give you an idea of, you know, how big of a scoop it really needs to be. But you know, it's about 5 inches tall, 18 inches long or so. Yeah, open to your guys' feedback and suggestions, but we will have to do that. I just don't like the look of the intake popping out like that. Now, one thing that I am kind of finding a little bit of trouble with is like drawing that line of where I'm going to stop with the body and the paint and all that stuff, and then really focus on getting it running and driving and racing, because we have the Mo Party event in like 2.5 months. And so I'm going to do one major thing next, which I'll get to here in just a minute. But I think for the most part, guys, I am going to put the back half in like a beige primer, just all this open exposed metal. I do not want to be in here again doing body work or anything like that, or more metal work. So we're going to protect everything that we've done so far. But really the front half of it's going to stay just about the same. But back to the quick recap. All of our gaps have been completely set up. Everything is 3/16 of an inch all the way around. The doors look absolutely freaking gorgeous, you guys. They open, they close beautifully. One finger on both sides. Cannot argue for a second or complain about fitment like that. I'm absolutely in love with that. I did go ahead, sand down every single weld that I put on the car, all the way around, all the quarter panels, the tail panel. It's all been ground down. It's all been body worked with Fiberall. And you guys can see here, you know, all of our seams, everything has been completely smoothed out here all the way around the entire car. And it looks really, really good the way that it sits right now. Now, I did go ahead and fit the fiberglass deck lid on the car as well. I got it kind of lined up where I wanted it to, and basically just took the DA sander, got that perfect 3/16 gap all the way around the entire thing. And the fitment looks really good on the sides and the back. The big problem, unfortunately, is the front. Now, the deck filler piece is actually about the only piece of exterior sheet metal that did arrive here already welded onto the car. And I really wish it wouldn't have been, because quarter panels were not fit up where they were going to be. And so unfortunately the deck filler is too far forward, which now means I have a big gap here on the front of my trunk or my deck lid. So I don't think it's going to happen now, but in time, when this thing comes back from Mo Party and is ready for paint, we are either going to have to cut that lip off, lift the entire deck filler out and slide it back, or just buy another one and cut the lip off and actually weld the lip right to that and extend that body line down. Either way, it's got to be fixed. It doesn't fit right, and it does not fit anywhere close on the metal deck lid either, which if it was just the metal deck lid, honestly, all I'd do, weld a piece of 3/16 rod across the entire leading edge, sand it down, body work it, and you'd close that gap up and would never notice. But with it being fiberglass, it's a little bit different story. You got to get the metal fitting right first. I do have the proper Super Bee finishing piece here, kind of the chrome that goes across the back. Unfortunately, I have like none of the hardware for it, and it's not available. So if you guys know where to find that stuff, let me know. It's like impossible to find. So that'll be going on soon. I mentioned the beige primer in the back, but man, I can't get over the gaps on this car, how everything fits closes beautifully. All of our gaps just look absolutely fantastic. So really happy with how everything has turned out on this car, and I can't wait to see it in less than 6 colors, because I think that's all of the colors that are on this car as it sits today. And I think I am going to be adding another color onto the car, and that is going to be what's coming up next. So call me crazy, but I really want to get the car up on the rotisserie, and I want to get the bottom side all finished out. I know that sounds absolutely asinine, but hear me out. The engine, transmission, all that stuff has to come back out anyways, because we're going to do a full build on that. I'm going to take it up hopefully over 600 horsepower. I'm going to do a little bit of work on the 6-speed as well. We got to get the rear diff completely out of it, the Dana, and go through that as well. So while all that stuff is out getting its own work done, the car will be going up on the rotisserie, the doors, the fenders, everything blown off, and we're going to Raptor line the entire bottom side of the car, because when I go to put it all back together, I hope it's about the last time it's going to have to ever go up on a rotisserie or anything like that. And once we get back from Mo Party, you can basically ship it off for paint and let them honestly deal with it after that. But I want to have the bottom side completely done, so our brake lines and all that stuff, all of our plumbing and everything, doesn't ever have to come back off the car again. So I hope to have all of that work done in like 3 or 4 days. Shouldn't take too long. The entire bottom side of the car is basically brand new, so scuff it up, epoxy the entire thing, and get it in Raptor liner before going through the engine, transmission, and everything else. And then finally, can start assembling it. So I can't wait. This thing's gonna sound awesome. I just want to hear it make noise. I want to see it go up and down the road. And man, maybe if we're really, really lucky, we'll have this car running, driving, and racing in time for the Mo Party event in the middle of September. So man, with that, guys, I have a ton of editing to do for you guys to get this video out. I'm hoping tonight I can get the full drivetrain and everything dropped out of the car and get it mounted up and get it moving through all the undercoating process. So with that, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for sticking around to the very end of the video. It really means a lot. And tell me what you guys think of the car so far. I'd love to hear what you think. So take care. I'll see y'all again real soon.